Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Now that my two obligatory informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. And some of my subscribers have awared me that Alex from AlphaDestiny is promoting neck training and they want to get my take on it. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. You know, historically, I haven't really liked Alex a lot. We've had our beefs. I'm not really going to go that hard on him today. A lot of his fanboys are going to come in just because of the fact that I'm not even going to agree with him, and they're going to hit dislike and spam and whatever, and that's fine, guys. That's fine. Go ahead. I appreciate the traffic. I still get paid for them dislikes. So, that being said, I don't actually disagree with everything Alex says, believe it or not. I mean, I'm giving credit where credit is due. At least Alex, he's a good bench presser. At least he understands and promotes the idea that size and strength are correlated, that big, heavy exercises with heavy weights do have the potential to put the most muscle mass on someone who is natural, right? That is reality of it. That stuff beats fluff and pump hands down. At least he's promoting that. My problems with him have had to do with him promoting the silly, gimmicky nonsense. All these really short range of motion rack pulls, which, I mean, I've tried to tell people for years it's nonsense. Even Bugenhagen, who he got a lot of that from, finally came out and said, hey, this stuff's garbage. All the accommodating resistance he promotes, the lack of lower body training, these things, you know, these are what I give him a hard time over. And I guess the neck training will fall in that category, but what I'll say with the neck training, I'm going to describe it as a useless waste of time, but it's not going to be harmful. Like some of my criticisms of him are that he's promoting stuff that is going to hurt people for no benefit. They're not going to get any benefit out of it, and they're just going to get hurt. Like the above the knee rack pulls and everything. Look how many guys followed all that and they are still tiny. They have no traps, all this other nonsense, you know, because the stuff doesn't work. It doesn't actually work. And all the experts agree on that. It's not me saying that. There are researchers in the field who are saying this is silly shit. They're calling it silly. You know, and he continued to promote it in spite of that because he was making money selling books on it, and it was his show-off lifts. But by that same token, you know, people listen to it. And again, kind of back to the other point, though, it's not like Alex doesn't get a lot of stuff right. All right, so, I mean, that needs to be said. Again, he's promoting the standing press, right? He's promoting heavy-weighted pull-ups, heavy benching, close grip benching. All right, those are things that we do need to see more stuff promoted. People actually trying to get legitimately strong at these exercises to stack on size, even for guys just chasing hypertrophy who aren't strength athletes. So I'm going to give credit for that. All right, credit does need to be given there. The lack of the squatting and the deadlifting, though, is where I have some of the problem. And then all the trendy stuff. And I mean, this neck training falls into that category, right? It falls into that category. Because let's be realistic here. Again, look at what the experts are saying on it. Hell, I mean, even I think Dr. Jordan Feigenbaum laughed about it when he got asked in a Q&A of, you know, what do you think about the neck training thing? And he was like, it's a waste of time. In other words, you're not going to get any meaningful hypertrophy from doing all this direct neck work that he does, right? You're not going to get meaningful hypertrophy from it. And so where's his massive neck? Look at what he overhead presses. Look at what he pulls. And he doesn't have a disproportionately large neck. You saw him next to Omar Issoff, who Omar Issoff is slightly stronger on some of these upper body lifts that involve the traps, right? Slightly stronger. He had just as big, if not a bigger neck than Alex does. So kind of go back to that point of if this neck training does anything, why isn't his neck disproportionately large? In other words, you know, he presses a little over 200 pounds, right? Why does he have the neck size of a guy who presses a little over 200 pounds? Why does he have the neck size of a guy who deadlifts 500 pounds? If this direct neck work is doing anything. It's not. And I'm not telling guys that you don't want a stronger neck in some cases, and where some neck muscle is a bad thing. But you're going to get that from any exercise that works the traps. And what's going to work your traps? Overhead pressing, standing presses, heavy pulls, rows, right? All these things. Any exercise is a big, heavy movement that's going to work the traps is going to build your neck. It's going to build your neck. And these little tiny exercises that are being done are oftentimes working little smaller muscles in the neck that don't really benefit much from hypertrophy training. They're not going to see any meaningful growth from it. So we're kind of falling over into the category now of just wasting time. It's just wasting time. Is it going to hurt you? No. It's not going to hurt anybody. He's not hurting anybody with this advice. And I do want to make that point clear. I'm not saying in this case that what he is teaching people to do is going to be harmful or it's going to set you back. It really isn't. It's fine. Look, if you want to stand around doing an hour worth of network every week, that's your prerogative. But the difference is that people need to understand it is a waste of time. That's what it is. It's a waste of time. And I guess that's where I see the conflicting message. I don't know if his philosophy has changed, but this is a guy who had a program where he had people going to the gym 2 days a week, a full body 2 day a week program. If you're only going to go to the gym twice a week, I just don't see why people have extra time to waste on silly ass shit like training their neck. And again, if there was a benefit, I'd get it. Like if people were somehow, they thought that getting a massive neck was the key to aesthetics or something, and or that they need it for their sport, and it actually gave a real benefit, okay, that's fine. Maybe someone could benefit from some sport-specific direct training of a muscle group. But the neck is going to get bigger and stronger from all of your big upper body lifts anyways, particularly anything that trains the traps. If it makes your traps grow, it is going to make your neck grow. And so the whole thing is that you have a guy who has promoted, number one, minimalism in terms of number of days in the gym, right? Number two is promoted all what he's calling yoke training, which is all about the shoulder girdle and the traps and the upper back. Well, if your training is already extremely focused on specializing in these muscles, your neck is going to grow maximally anyways. In other words, adding more to it isn't going to do anything else. It's already going to grow from all the other stuff. Anything that makes your traps blow up is going to make your neck thicker, and just doing more isn't necessarily going to help you. And people need to understand, you see some of these people who have these big, thick, massive necks they talk about, that's genetics, guys. That's genetics. You can't, these guys didn't necessarily train for that. There's a genetic predisposition there, just like with anything else. But any exercise that grows your traps is going to grow your neck. And I mean, it's, again, we're falling back into the area of fuck-around-itis again. And that's a lot of the problems with a lot of what Alex promotes. But the thing is, he's a young guy, and he always picks up every new fad, every new idea, and he's always off on some fad that he's going to promote and market and sell, and it keeps people coming in. But the thing is, at the end of the day, it just gets ridiculous with some of it, like all the tons of band work and accommodating resistance for people who aren't going to compete in equipped powerlifting. You know, now he's doing all this, and it's like, I really do wish Alex would just start promoting some basic squats and deadlifts again, like he did early on in his channel. And I think what it does come down to is that he's built a reputation among his followers for being a strong bencher, for doing all these really heavy partials and everything, and he doesn't have squat strength because he hasn't trained the squat, and he's done a little bit of one-legged stuff. And so he knows that his strength isn't on point on these exercises, and he knows if he starts doing them on camera, he's going to look weak, he's going to get called out, so he doesn't do it. But the reality is, the best thing he probably could do for his followers, I mean, he's got, what, 175,000 subscribers now? If he really wants to help his followers, here's what I would say to you, Alex. If you really care about your followers, and you swallow your pride a little bit and start promoting real squats and deadlifts, the things that you know are going to help them, I'm not going to call you out for being weak on them. How's that for a deal? That's a fair deal. That is a fair deal. If he comes in and says, you know what, you're right, I really should be promoting some of this instead of this silly nonsense, even if he comes in and he can only squat 315 starting back out, but he starts promoting the squat and deadlift, I'll actually give him props for that. How's that for fair? How's that for fair? Instead of making fun of him, I will actually give him credit where credit is due if he starts promoting the other stuff that he knows would help people, and drop this silly nonsense of, oh yeah, big legs are unattractive. Because, you know, you're starting to sound like Ken Booty when you say stuff like that. I mean, that's again, that's fuck-around-itis, that's laziness. And the thing is, Alex isn't lazy in the gym. He's not lazy with his training approach. And so for him to take that easy cop-out, that easy way out, that lazy mentality when it comes to the leg training, I just don't think suits him well, and I don't think it suits his message that he wants to put out. But that's just my opinion on it. But when we come back to this other stuff, as far as the neck training goes, it is just a silly waste of time. It's just another markety gimmick, and I really wish Alex would kind of go back to his bread and butter. Back when he was one of my followers early on, and people remember that in my comments, when people were like, oh, you stole stuff from Alex. No, guys, Alex was one of my biggest nut huggers, like 4 or 5 years ago. He commented in every video I did, promoted a lot of the same ideas before he went off on his own tangents. And when I called him out on those silly tangents, he got angry at me, kind of became an enemy. But the fact of the matter is, he probably knows deep down I was right. And he was an early disciple of a lot of the stuff I promoted for years and years and years. And he knows that that stuff works. He knows that he built his base doing all that stuff, not this silly stuff. Alex, you know that you did. Go back to your roots, man. If you go back to your roots and you quit promoting the silly shit and you start promoting the stuff that you know that works, I will actually not really give you a hard time, because you know those basics work. You know conventional training works because you started with it. You got good results before you jumped over into your little circus act. All right. You know it's in the best interest of your followers to return to that. That's really what I would like to see. And less of this silly stuff of direct neck training. No, man, just do some more overhead pressing, right? Do some more rows, do some more pull-ups. Your neck is going to grow. Just get strong at those big pulling and pushing exercises that actually train your traps. Your neck will get just about as big as it can genetically get. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.